Hello, and welcome to the Delaro Complete Fungicide training put on by Bayer Crop Science. My name is Rory Cranston, and I'm a Market Development Manager for Cereal Impulse Herbicides and Fungicides. Today, with some of my colleagues, Emily Kruger and Mackenzie Bostock, we're going to be leading you through Delaro Complete, our new product ready for market for 2024. In 2015, we originally brought Delaro to the market, and it has had an absolutely outstanding performance. Delaro Complete will build on that performance, adding in another active ingredient that really enhances, especially in resistant situations. Some things that we're going to talk about today is, what is Delaro Complete? How is it different from Delaro? How is it similar to Delaro? We're going to talk a little bit on the results that we've seen in our field scale and field solutions program. We're going to talk a bit about fungicide resistance messaging and what's going on and how Delaro and Delaro Complete can help battle and combat that fungicide resistance and when to use. And with that, I would like to pass it over to my colleague, Emily, to take us through what Delaro Complete is.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Kruger, and I'm a market development rep with Bayer, and I work out of the Parkland region. So today I'm going to be going over what Delaro Complete is and some yield results we have from some trials we've done with Delaro Complete. So Delaro Complete is really similar to Delaro in terms of use pattern. So they both come in a 7.1 liter jug and both cover 20 acres. They're both good for most pulse crops and come at an application rate of 0.88 liters per hectare. Where we see the difference is Delaro is great in most field situations. However, Delaro Complete will work really great in high disease pressure situations and where you have suspected or confirmed insensitive anthracnose. So what's different about Delaro Complete is the addition of fluopyram in the product. So fluopyram is a group 7, which is highly mobile within the plant. This group 7 gives Delaro Complete an extra mode of action, giving you 3 mode of actions. Fluopyram is long-lasting and helps protect against group 11 resistance anthracnose. And because it's so long-lasting, it helps with later developing diseases such as gray mold and white mold. Here we have a diagram of fluopyram movement throughout a plant. This is in a soybean plant, which had fluopyram in the seed coat, but it really shows how fluopyram moves throughout the plant and stays for a long time. So in those dark blue areas and green areas, you can see where the product is lasting within the plant all the way up to 60 days after seeding. So within anthracnose resistance in lentils, it's really something that we're starting to see more and more each year. With testing that we've done with Delaro Complete on anthracnose resistance inoculated lentils, we are showing that the addition of fluopyram, we are really gaining control of this disease. In our testing, we were seeing that Delaro fungicide helped to gain 36% yield over resistant biotypes. And when we tested Delaro Complete over the untreated, we saw even higher yield bumps than that. Where fluopyram was tested by itself, it was equal to about 16% above the untreated, which is about equivalent to what we saw with the lattice fungicide. So what is the secret? So Delaro Complete is composed of 3 very powerful modes of action. So we have prothioconazole, which is a group 3. This is a product that moves relatively slowly throughout the plant, but has a longer residual than most group 3 products and has better post-infection properties than a group 7 or a group 11 mode of action. We also have trifloxystrobin, which is a group 11. This is a really broad spectrum mode of action. It controls molds, mildews, leaf spot, and rust, and has really great plant health characteristics. And finally, as I mentioned, there is fluopyram in the product, which is a group 7. So it's highly mobile within a plant. It works different than the other group 3 mode of action. It has physiological and greening reaction in the plant, so that improves the light energy within the plant, and it is ideal for high disease pressure situations and crops. Here we can see how Delaro and Delaro Complete compare to our competitors in the pulse market. So this chart is broken out with the grams per acre for each mode of action in the field. So we can see with Delaro fungicide, we're getting a total of 115 grams of active per acre. And with Delaro Complete fungicide, we're improving on that and getting 160 grams active per acre in the fungicide. Compared to the competitors, Zytiga, Elatis, and ReviPro, we are getting a lot more grams per acre of active ingredients. So now we're going to go into some results that we saw with the trials we've done within Bayer. So this yield chart here is showing the 2022 lentil fungicide results that our MDR team did. So these are trials that were sprayed by the Bayer employees with a 50-foot boom in a grower's field. All these different fungicides were applied and then later harvested by the cooperator. So as you can see on the left side, we have the untreated, and Delaro Complete are showing a great yield advantage over the untreated. Keeping in mind this 2022 data was a drier year with a bit less disease pressure than normal. If we look on the far right side, we can see we had two sequential applications. So we had Delaro followed by Delaro, and then Delaro followed by Proline Gold. And those two sequential treatments were giving us very large yield bumps over the untreated. So with Delaro followed by Delaro, we got about 6.8 bushels above the untreated, and then Delaro followed by Proline Gold, we got about 6.6 bushels above the untreated. This was the average of 4 different trials done within Saskatchewan. So here we can see the yield compared to the disease rating of the same trials that we saw on the last graph. So in the top blue line, that's where we can see the yield, and the light blue line on the bottom, that's the disease rating. The graphs here show that the yield really corresponds to the disease. So the lower the line on the light blue graph is showing more disease. So you can see that more disease is resulting in less yield. And finally, here we have a picture from those same trials. So this is a picture taken by Holdfast Sask. And you can really see how the untreated on the far left side looks a lot darker. You can see the bushels there were quite a bit lower. The treated strips are a bit lighter, a bit brighter. They're showing better plant health, which results also in higher yield. As we look at the Elatis, you can see that it looks quite similar to the untreated check and is actually quite similar in yield as well. On the far right, we have the two sequential treatments, and you can see those look really bright, healthy, and are showing much higher yield. Here we have some 2023 field solutions results. So there's 2 trials in these results here. The field solutions trials are done in small plot formats, so they have a lot of control over how their trials go. They were able to put these lentils in an area that was covered with straw that was infested with group 11 anthracnose, and one of the sites was irrigated. So you can really see how Delaro Complete fungicide gave the plant a lot of protection over diseases and resulted in about 17.8 bushels higher than the untreated strips. As we look now at some results from field solution P fungicide trials, we have 3 trials in this graph from over 2022 and 2023, and they were all very high disease pressure sites. So you can see how, again, Delaro was really protecting the plant and protecting against disease pressure. So Delaro fungicide was giving us about 23.8 bushels over the untreated, and Delaro Complete was showing about 30.7 bushels over the untreated. So some really great results there. And finally, we're looking now at a bit bigger scale trials. So these were done in growers' fields. The first one was done by Go Like Saskatchewan, where they tested a bunch of different fungicides there. And you can see how Delaro Complete was a strong winner there. Also on the right side, there was another trial done by Moose Jaw Sask. And again, Delaro Complete was showing really great results over the competitors that were also in the field. All right, so here we have some pictures from the field. So on the left side, we have a picture that a grower took in a field where he had untreated on the left and Delaro Complete on the right. So you can really see the difference, how the product is protecting the plant. It just looks a lot healthier, a lot brighter. And the grower said that he saw about 7 to 10 bushels higher with the Delaro Complete compared to the untreated. On the right side, we have a picture of lentils. So this is ReviPro compared to Delaro Complete. So again, you can see on the left, the ReviPro is just showing a bit more disease in the field, and the Delaro Complete just looks a little bit healthier there. And that is all for me.
Thank you, Emily, for those great results and that fantastic performance from Delaro Complete, and thank you for your work in the field. Now, I would like to pass it over to Mackenzie to speak a little bit about fungicide resistance.
Hi, yeah, thank you, Rory, and thank you, Emily, for going through all of those great slides explaining what Delaro Complete really is and how it can perform in the field. So I am Mackenzie Bostock. I'm the market development agronomist for Central South Sask. So I cover Regina North, and I am proud to be a part of this Delaro Complete launch and hopeful to get you some more information. So I'm going to start off by talking about our fungicide resistance messaging that comes along with the launch of Delaro Complete. So together with Insight Plant Health, us as Bayer Crop Science have teamed up with them and helped them to develop some testing when it comes to anthracnose that is insensitive to group 11. And so you can see here, Insight Plant Health has tested 66 field samples from across Saskatchewan since 2021, and we have helped them by sending in some samples, and they've been able to develop a test that is able to determine whether those lentils or that anthracnose is resistant to group 11 or sensitive. And so you can see on average, 85% of the samples that are sent in do have the G143A mutation, which does mean that they are insensitive to anthracnose. So that lighter bar there is showing the strains that are sensitive, and then the darker bar there shows the strains that are insensitive. So a pretty big number, a pretty high amount of samples that are sent in are coming back with anthracnose resistance. And I will just mention that these samples that are sent in are likely treated with a fungicide already. So take it with a grain of salt, because in those cases, the group 11 that is insensitive is the one that is showing up. However, we know with anthracnose, it goes through multiple generations within a year or within a season even. And so we can be confident that these numbers are going to continue to grow over the next couple seasons here for sure. And so, like I had mentioned, Insight Plant Health, it's a lab in Saskatoon. They conducted a study to test 16 different fungicides for the ability to control lentil anthracnose. And so there were plates with sensitive and sensitive isolates being tested, and then infected plants with sensitive and insensitive isolates as well. And then the ratings done on this are done at 1, 3, and 5 weeks post-inoculation. And so it's really important to know that these tests aren't just a snapshot in time. They are done throughout the season. And then plants were treated with a fungicide, like I mentioned above. And then 24 hours after they were treated with the fungicide is when they were inoculated with the disease. These are quotes that were reported from Saskatchewan pulse growers. So the results of the studies that were done through Insight Plant Health were that fungicides containing only a group 11 active showed considerable symptom development following the treatment with the group 11 insensitive isolates. We can confirm we kind of expected that to happen. The reason being they're insensitive to group 11. When you apply a group 11, it's not going to provide much coverage. Combination products that contain a group 11 active with a group 7 active, so Diax and Elatis, or a group 3 active, so Delaro, also appeared to perform less effectively against the disease caused by group 11 insensitive isolates. So what that is saying is basically in these 3 products, when you take out that group 11 active ingredient, control is slightly reduced. Where we get into it here a little bit more, so for Diax and Elatis, there was a significant difference between the control of the group 11 sensitive versus insensitive anthracnose, but not for Delaro, which contains a group 3 instead of a group 7 in combination with a group 11. And so to summarize that point right there, Diax and Elatis are a combination of a group 11 and a group 7. And while the group 7 was providing some control, where the combination of Delaro is a group 3 and a group 11, the Delaro was providing more control on those insensitive isolates. So in general, the results show that a group 11 active cannot be used on their own to control lentil anthracnose, and that growers should also use caution with combination products containing a group 11 and a group 7 active. And so to highlight that, and where I want to mention Delaro in this, is it does show that the group 3 and the group 11 active ingredient combination is showing better results on lentils with insensitive anthracnose. And so where we can be extremely confident in the launch of Delaro Complete is that we're combining all 3 of those active ingredients. So we have a combination of group 11, group 7, and group 3 within there that can really provide strong control on anthracnose. And so these recommendations came straight from the Fungicide Resistance Action Committee. And so what these are saying here is that group 11 fungicides always need to be applied in mixtures with non-cross resistant fungicides, and then at the rate chosen the respective partner on its own to provide effective disease control. And then when we move over to group 3, so strongly reduced rates of group 3s can contribute to accelerate the shift to less sensitive population. And where I can highlight here is that Delaro and Delaro Complete both have a super strong active load when it comes to the group 3 prothioconazole in those products. And then group 7s, so apply group 7 fungicides always in mixtures again, and then strongly reduced rate programs, including multiple applications, must not be used. So when we look at Delaro, we can check off the box on the group 11. It is a combination with the group 3. We can check off the box under the group 3 there because we have a really strong rate of prothio in that product. And then there is no group 7, so it doesn't apply there. When we move down to Delaro Complete, I can echo the exact same things. And then when we get into that group 7, we have it in combination with the group 11 and the group 3. And so we can be confident that we're not solely relying on that group 7. So that is a little bit about our fungicide resistance messaging. When it comes to Delaro Complete, we can be confident that we are helping to combat the resistance that's happening with the diseases in our pulse crops here. So now I'll get into a little bit about when to use which product, when to use Delaro versus Delaro Complete, and how to make that decision. So really your main questions that you're going to be asking yourself or your growers in these situations are about disease incidence and anthracnose resistance. So first question, is it a high disease incidence? If it is, your next question that you're going to look into is anthracnose resistance a concern? I had went through those graphs earlier, and it is almost always that we can assume that anthracnose resistance is going to be a concern. And if it's not this year, it's only a matter of time before it is. But if we're answering yes to that question, Delaro Complete is going to be the product to go with. And then if you're looking into a second pass, Proline Gold is going to be your best option to go with, or Delaro. And I will make a little asterisk here and point out that the only time that we're going to recommend Delaro on another Delaro product is if you're targeting different diseases. So if your first pass is targeting anthracnose and your second pass is targeting botrytis or sclerotinia, that's when we would say it's okay to go with Delaro there. However, in most cases, we're going to recommend going with Proline Gold second out. If anthracnose resistance is not a concern, that's where we really open up the decision for Delaro Complete or Delaro. Both products are going to provide you excellent control. And I would say if you're questioning which product to use, work with your Bayer agronomist or sales rep to be able to help you determine which product to use. And then second pass, again, we're going to go with the ProLine line. We could also go with ProLine Gold here if it's a higher disease pressure situation, or Delaro Complete can be followed up there. And if we move back over to that first question there, whether it's a high disease incidence or not, if the answer to that is no, your first pass is really going to be Delaro or Delaro Complete. Again, if you're unsure of which product to go with, I would recommend reaching out to your Bayer agronomist. But almost always, we're going to want to see Delaro Complete go down first as your first pass option because of that anthracnose resistance concern. So one thing I do really want to point out here is the timing of application. And I would say that no matter what, for any pulse fungicide that you're applying, the timing is going to be the most important thing in play. And so this picture here is a picture I took when we were applying fungicide at one of our trial sites. And I would say that this is the perfect time to go in with your first application. Right prior to row closure, you can see those rows haven't closed yet. We know that some fungicide actives move through the xylem, and so it's important to get them on down low in the canopy of the crop so that they can move up and out in that plant. And so I would say this is your best time. Apply it before the disease has a chance to infect that plant. By the time that you see visual lesions or visual disease symptoms on the plant, that plant has already been infected for probably over a week at that point, and it's done a lot of damage internally to that plant. So make sure that you're getting on that fungicide early, again, prior to row closure. And I would say when you're walking the headlands, you're starting to see the first couple white flowers. Once you get into the crop, you can see the buds starting to form. They're maybe not open yet. That would be the best time to go on with your fungicide. Make sure you're setting it up for success if you're going to be applying it anyway. So an overall summary from what I've gone over here. So as a first pass option, these two products will both give you the best control of all the major pulse diseases on peas and lentils. And so a second pass is never truly guaranteed. And that's why we believe it's best to cover off all your bases in the first pass, which would be covered with Delaro or Delaro Complete. And in situations where disease conditions are ideal and disease pressure is high or anthracnose is insensitive to group 11, Delaro Complete is the better option to go. As for chickpeas, both of these products will perform very well on diseases. However, timing of the products is really dependent on the year and disease pressure. So again, work with your local agronomist or your Bayer rep as to when to apply these products on chickpeas. And again, timing is key. Apply it early before the disease had a chance to infect the plant. Again, set these products up for success and maximize your yield potential by not letting any disease in there. So with that, I will hand it back to Rory to highlight some of the stuff that we've gone over today.
Perfect. Thank you, Mackenzie. So I just want to come in and focus on some of the key takeaways that we've touched on today. Delaro Complete is built on the proven performance of Delaro. It is not cut rates or reduced rates of anything from Delaro. It is a full rate prothioconazole and trifloxystrobin plus flupiram in there to really enhance control. It's going to be providing a broad spectrum pulse disease control of all those important diseases, including the group 11 anthracnose there. It will provide great resistance management options to control it. Speaking on a little bit more on the timing that Mackenzie touched on is Delaro Complete can be your first pass, your best pass, your complete pass. When it comes to diseases, you always want to put your best foot forward and not allow a disease any entry or any point in. When this comes down to it, the theory is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So don't wait to see disease. Don't leave the door open. Plants, when they only have 100 days to live, they don't have the time to heal and regain yield or regain potential like we do. So timing is key. So don't wait to see disease. Look for those conditions and apply then. For any additional resources, please reach out to your local Bayer representative to help you out or guide you along the process of how to purchase and use Delaro Complete. Thank you for your time today. Here is a QR code for our CCA and CCSC. Thank you very much and have a great day.